My name is Lynn Ruane. I'm currently the president of TCDSU and I'm running for the Seanad on the TCD panel. It's trying to, I suppose, give a brief overview of my background. I was an early school leaver. I became a mother at 15. The normal school system didn't seem to really suit my needs or wasn't really conducive of a good learning environment for me. So I went to Oncasan at 16, which was a very holistic kind of community approach to education. And at about 17 I went and studied addiction studies, and at about 18 then I was employed to develop addiction programs in Carp Killinarden in Tala for young heroin users. And my career in the addiction field just began to grow from there. So I went on then to be quite influential then in the development of the very first response to nasal cocaine use in the country, developing services for cocaine users that wouldn't ordinarily use programs where there's like methadone being dispensed, and they kind of saw themselves as different because they were recreational drug users. So it was kind of finding a new way to approach that so that people could actually use the service. I went from there then to Bluebell Addiction Advisory Group, which was probably my proudest piece of work to date, and I was there for about 5 years developing all the addiction services within Bluebell. And it was then that I returned to education in around 2011 after consecutive austerity budgets that really impacted community services. And I felt I needed to return to education so that I could articulate just how disastrous these decisions at governmental level and the effect that they were having on on communities. But I was lacking the language and the know-how of how to actually articulate that up to the decision body level. So I came to Trinity through the Trinity Access Programme, and I've been here now since 2011. I study PPES, which is Politics, Philosophy, Economics and Sociology. I have one more year of that left, but I'm on sabbatical at the moment for the role with the Students' Union. I decided to run for the Seanad when I realised the impact that me being in education and being a champion for education is actually having on other people who would like to be in a position to access education. There's plenty of stuff that I care about, so there's the mental health services, addiction services, homeless services, but I feel that if you begin to educate the masses of the working class, and if you make education accessible to everybody and remove financial and cultural barriers, that you can begin to address those other issues such as homelessness, addiction, criminality. And I think education can serve as a foundation or a catalyst for change for all of those areas too. So I feel that if I was to be able to be in a position that I had the platform of the Seanad, I could keep driving ththese agendas, which I feel are really important agendas, where education is for all. Well, why not? Yeah. I think the Seanad, I could have went and ran in the general election, but it's constituency stuff then, and the work that you can do can be very based in your constituency, where I felt the Seanad was a national platform to address education nationally, to address mental health nationally, instead of being isolated into a certain constituency. I felt Trinity is so special to me that I felt it would be an honour to be able to represent students, Trinity graduates and the working class on such a panel like the TCD panel. It's also, as a woman with a low income and as a parent, it's very hard to finance the likes of a general election campaign. So there's plenty of barriers and blocks in the way for women being able to run in general elections. I felt the Seanad was accessible to me, and I believe in reform of the Seanad, and I believe by me being in there that I can create some of that reform. Well, I'd like to, there's the 7th Amendment. I think, it was 1979, if I'm correct, that there was constitutional amendments to extending the franchise of being able to vote in the Seanad. I think that's one area we need to look at. We need to be able to, either all Irish citizens be able to vote in the Seanad, on the Seanad elections, or at least extending it out to all graduates, no matter what college you've actually graduated from. I also have a lot of issues with the fact that the Taoiseach gets 11 nominees, and that really affects the democratic process, because he's in a position then to just appoint 11 nominees that are going to follow a party whip, which means it makes it very hard for legislation that to be opposed as it comes through the Seanad, if you have so many people that are actually only there to back the government up rather than really be reflective of what's coming through the Seanad to ensure that it's representative. I will be finishing it. I'll be doing my final year in philosophy. There's not a huge amount of classes involved, and I'd be writing a dissertation. And if I was to be elected, I would be doing, I would do both for that final year. So I wouldn't be leaving college and waiting to come back at a later date. I would be finishing as I'm expected to. I couldn't be a champion of education and not then finish my education. So it is a priority for me. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, one of the reasons I came back to education was, apart from trying to articulate what was going on the ground at community level, but it was also so that I could have choice for me and my family. The county council, when you're from a poorer background, they just place you somewhere and expect you live there and you'll be happy and you'll stay there for the rest of your life with your children, and you've no options and you've no choice, and you feel you just have to be grateful for this, even though it's a little box bedroom with no garden and no anything. So I feel the more education I get, it broadens out my choice and opportunity to be able to choose what life me and my children have, instead of it being dictated to us just because of where we're from. So I would definitely like to go on and continue to educate myself so that I can continue to open doors for my daughters and for my community, I suppose.